the MindBeWell counseling channel. Thank you for joining me today. And I'm sure you're really interested in today's topic because that's why you press play. And so let's get right into that. And so today, I think just let's repeat this word: acceptance, acceptance. I accept, self-acceptance, acceptance, 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 acceptance. Okay, so let's get into today's topic. And so I think when we think about acceptance, there's really a lot that can be tied with just how we accept certain things, right? And so sometimes the way that we have shifted our mindset, the way that we perceive certain things, the way that we experience negative emotions, because they can be so intense, it makes us feel in a sense that we aren't able to overcome certain situations, that we're not able to think in a different perspective. And so it can be hard to accept situations as they are, when if we start to do something like that, we're better able to take control of what we can take control of. And that is how we make adjustments in our life based on the things that we are taking in face value. And so so I don't want to bore you with just a little bit of history on this term that I'm about to tell you. It's radical acceptance. I probably used it in a few of my videos, but it truly is really, if you haven't heard the term, it's something from it's from a counseling theory called dialectical behavioral therapy, and it's something where it takes in a little bit of certain skills from something called cognitive behavior therapy, and also ties in or combines with acceptance or mindfulness. And so then you have this term, radical acceptance, in a sense that yes, you are taking in certain things for what they are. Oh, the sky is blue. Oh, I see this picture right here. I see this person looking at me. So instead of judging, which is very easy for us to do at times, we judge instead of observing. And with observing, it's just taking in that this is what's happening. I can't change what this person or what this situation is, but there are certain factors in this situation that I can, control. But I think it's first accepting that this is happening. Sometimes we want to remove or shy away from the uncomfortable feelings, uncomfortable things that are going on. And it's like, what would happen if you started to accept that this is happening and that you have some control in the adjustments that you make in what you are observing? Hopefully that made sense. I feel like if you have any others, please let me know. This is the starting list for you. If you ever are having trouble with how you deal with certain things in your life and not fully accepting the things that are happening, let this be a start to a list that you start to make, because then you can start making adjustments. So the first thing that I have in acceptance is that I think we need to start accepting the way that people are. It doesn't mean that they are right. It doesn't mean that what they are doing is okay. But I think when we start to accept that this is the behavior that this person is going to have, that they continue to show us, then that means that we have more of control of how we adjust to it. Instead of having certain expectations on how we want somebody to be, how we want them to act, how we want them to call us more, how we want them to be nice to us, how we want them to be there for us. We place these expectations on other people based on kind of how we would approach a situation. But what if you started to accept that this is the behavior that this person has been giving me? Over the years, I keep wanting this person to do something different, but this is what I keep getting. So why not start accepting that people don't grow up with certain values and beliefs just like you? And so accepting that the things that are important to you may not be important to them. And so accepting that these are the behaviors that you may get from certain people. I think with doing something like that, it helps you see what you can do. It helps you look at the person in a way that I am taking in what you're doing instead of reacting so many times based on the same behaviors that you keep giving me, I'm going to make adjustments to my life moving forward. Whether it's creating new boundaries, whether it's spending less time with this person, whether it's just being able to communicate certain things. But I think starting to accept where people are at, and moving with it accordingly, I think is a good start. The next thing I think is important to start accepting. We need to start accepting that we need to start accepting like that change is a process, right? Sometimes we want something to happen right now, right then and there, and it's like, no, I feel like starting to accept where you're at, whether it's wanting to change certain things about yourself. Maybe, during quarantine, you gained a little bit and now you're trying to get back into the flow of things. You're getting back into physical activity, but being able to accept that the process and where you are trying to go in your life with certain goals, it's going to be a process. And so not coming down on yourself when maybe one day you slip up and eat a cupcake, or you slip up and eat a candy bar or whatever, or maybe one day you don't work out because you're extremely tired. I think accepting that change is a process. It's going to take time. It's going to mean that you make adjustments in your life, but it doesn't mean that you overwhelm yourself with all these things. It's just saying like, okay, let me start with a few things and build from there. But I think it's important to really start accepting that if you are planning to change something about yourself, you want to change something in your life, it's about creating that plan and knowing that that plan is going to take time. And so not coming down on yourself when you're not able to get it right the first time, or in a month's time frame or a week's time frame. I think you need to understand that it really is a process. So accept the journey, and I think along the way, just truly appreciate where you're at, what you're doing, and the focus that you have, the motivation that you have to keep yourself going. Okay. All right. So the next one is, got my little notes here so I don't forget. I think another is acceptance of you, that self-acceptance. Get it together. Get into a habit of accepting where you are at. And when I think about that, I think one of the important things, and I want to, I think I shift towards more physical, more of the, how we all at times judge our bodies. Our bodies are such an interesting, thing, because, through everything from how we eat, how we rest, how we hydrate, whatever we do, our bodies have been there to like just hold us together, and I think starting to really accept that, at times, I think really starting to accept that at times this is kind of where you're at. And I think this is kind of similar to the whole accepting that change is a process, accepting that this is the body that you have at this moment, accepting that this is the face that you have at this moment, accepting that these are the qualities that you have these are the qualities that you have in this moment. It doesn't mean that you can't change it. It doesn't mean that you can't make adjustments, like I keep saying. But I think sometimes accepting where you're at in life, and really figuring out where you're trying to go. We think about everything of like how we used to look, how we used to do things, what life looks like for others. And it's like, no, focus on where life is at now and what you're able to do moving forward. Accept what you have, accept the good qualities about yourself. If you aren't able to find any good qualities about yourself, maybe this is the time to start doing it. I have said this before in other videos, start to date yourself. Accept that you're gonna have to start dating yourself right now, especially if right now you feel like you don't have that support that you want. Maybe you want to be in a relationship, whatever that is, but accepting that right now in this moment, you got to start dating yourself. So what does that look like? It means basically trying to figure out what are the things that you need to start being okay with. Accept kind of where you're at, accept the body, accept your smile, accept your eyes, accept being able to wake up every day, accept that At times, you know, you may not look the best or you may not feel your best, but accept where you're at today, because tomorrow you can change. This week you can change. This weekend, this weekend you can make some changes, but sometimes accepting kind of where you're at and where you would like to go. Take those steps, make a plan, and do that. But I think stop coming down on yourself for everything you don't see about yourself right now. I think start appreciating, start accepting that at this moment, this is where I'm at. And so instead of coming down on yourself for everything you're not seeing within self right now, how about starting to accept that this is where you're at, but you can still make changes. You can still build yourself up. You can at one day be happy. You can one day minimize the anxiety that you have. So I think really accepting at times where you're at and knowing that I don't know why I'm whispering, but knowing that you can push forward. The next one is accepting our emotions. I know one of the things with emotions and negative emotions, we feel like so at times, and I want to touch on this because I think it's very important. So listen up. At times when we have certain emotions that we experience, especially those negative ones, they can be intense. And so when you experience emotions, and I hear this at times when I am talking to someone in a therapy session. And I'm like, what is your goal? And their goal is, I want to stop having these anxiety symptoms. I want to stop being depressed. I want to stop being so angry. And that's the goal. And I think at times certain emotions are needed. Instead of the goal being, I would like to stop having anxiety, I think the goal should be, I would like to minimize the intensity of certain emotions. Because some emotions, based on experiences, based on genetics, based on external factors, they may be something that just kind of sticks with you and stays with you. But the intensity of those emotions can be reduced. And I think it's believing that. So I think it's accepting with this one, accepting that you will have certain emotions that are unhealthy. You will have certain emotions that aren't the best. You will have certain emotions where you feel like, hey, I thought I grew from this. I thought I had the skills. I thought I had the toolbox to really manage these emotions. But I think sometimes it's kind of like when things happen, they happen. And just like with all the other things I've mentioned, accepting that you will have those not so good days. You will have those, those moments where maybe your emotions get the best of you. And I think it's accepting that you're going to have those moments and not coming down on yourself that maybe you were out of line. Accept that it is something that you can still change. Accept that you're still learning about this process. I think accept that you're human. But I think there is this thing that I hear often. It's just, I can't accept myself for having these uncomfortable emotions. And it's like, once you get to that state of acceptance that you're going to or could have, or you could experience certain emotions, I think then you're able to make sure that you can manage it a little bit differently. You can create a plan on how you cope with it a little bit differently. You can make adjustments in your life a little bit differently. But I think when you're not able to accept that you can have a bad day, that you can have some days where you get anxious, you can have weeks where you're stressed out, I think when you're not able to accept that, then it moves you further away from doing what you can do to manage it. So start accepting. Accept that you're human. Accept that perfectionism and things being perfect, that's not realistic. Accept that you are a work in progress. But I think overall, just start accepting you in general and, accept that you are going to have your flaws and it's okay. Yeah, those were a few things. I feel like add a comment if you want to, but I feel like if you felt like this was helpful, go ahead and do what you do for me, because it would be great. I would really appreciate it. But also I feel like if this is a piece of the, this is a catalyst to you creating a list of things that you need to start accepting to then move forward and just making adjustments in your life. Go ahead and add other things you feel like you want to accept a little bit more. Write that in the comment box if you don't want to be, if you're not too shy about it. But I think, yes. All right. So I want to say thank you for, tuning in. And I don't know why my hands are like this, but I want you to have a good day. And I will see you again. All right.